You should know, probably this will discourage you for life, but in the Vajrayana tradition, when you really start working closely with a teacher, that teacher becomes the greatest troublemaker in your life. The Trungpa Rinpoche is famous for a quote where he said, the job of the spiritual friend is to insult you. And if you ask why that is so, it's because in order to become a completely loving person, a flexible person, you have to see where you're hookable. You have to see where your Shempa arises so that you can work with it. So in the Vajrayana tradition, there's actually a whole practice and teaching that you can do, which is called heightened neurosis, where you actually, the situation is created by certain practices you do, where your neurosis gets heightened to you. And the idea is if you don't see it, if you don't first see where you're hookable and where you get provoked, with a complete honesty and directness, without guilt, but just a straight look at where you get stuck, then you're always going to have that blind spot, and it's always going to be there to drag you down. So if you really want liberation, you really want freedom, you need people around who are going to be provoking you to show you where it is that you still have work to do. Now, I love this teaching, and I actually see things this way, which isn't to say that I like these people any better than you do, but I actually see the value of what they are showing me about myself, no matter what their intention is. And I tell this story about Gurdjieff and how he, the spiritual teacher Gurdjieff had a place in France. It was a spiritual community, and there was one man living in this community of about 35 people, that there was not a single person there who liked this man. And this was because this man was so irritable, and it didn't matter what you said or did, he flew off the handle, and he was very, very grouchy and disgruntled and just a mean-tempered guy. So Gurdjieff has said that he used to have students do meaningless tasks, I think to sort of test them how much they could endure. So in this particular day, in the story that I read, they were moving a lawn from one side of the road to the other by cutting it into small pieces and moving it. And this was too much for this one gentleman. He threw down his sod of grass and he screamed that this was stupid and he wasn't going to stay another minute. He stormed away, got in a car and drove away, and everybody cheered with joy. They were so happy to see him go. When Gurdjieff heard what had happened, he got in his car and drove off after this fellow and brought him back. And that night when Gurdjieff's attendant was helping him get ready for bed, the attendant, who was a young boy, said, "Sir, why did you bring him back?" And he said, "This is a secret just between you and I, but I pay that man to be here."